Hello and welcome to this video recorded for the weekend of the 25th and 26th of April. But we had hoped. I wonder, how would you complete that statement? For some this year, but we had hoped to get married. But we had hoped to grow our business. But we had hoped that COVID-19 wouldn't affect our family and friends. Well, so many things. On a relatively minor note in the whole scheme of things for myself, but I had hoped at this point to be on Anglesey on holiday. When I read the Gospel for this Sunday, which is Luke 24 verses 13 to 35, the road to Emmaus, it was this phrase that stood out for me: but we had hoped. It comes from the evening of the first Easter day when two of Jesus's disciples, Cleopas and another, were trudging away from Jerusalem to Emmaus. They were going home, confused and disillusioned. And then Jesus draws alongside them, but they don't recognize him. They're too traumatized by the events of Good Friday and then the apparent loss of Jesus's body. And some of their words as they walk along, some of their words to Jesus are actually about him. But we had hoped that he was the one to redeem Israel. And as I was thinking about this phrase, I came across an essay on the subject by Debbie Thomas, and so some of what I'll say next draws on her thoughts too. In this year, with COVID-19 rampaging in some areas and sneaking in other areas, the road to recovery for us as a society as well as for individuals, this road is going to be long and hard. Understandings from this passage, the road to Emmaus, I think can strengthen and help us, because this is a road that honours deep disappointment, even as it holds out possibilities of nourishment and revelation. This is a road that Jesus walks, even if sometimes we're going in the wrong direction. And the resurrected Christ doesn't come alongside these two disciples with trumpets sounding or great lights blazing. He doesn't bounce along to them like Tigger from Winnie the Pooh or Zebedee from the Magic Roundabout. No, he's almost in the background. Yet his presence gradually makes all the difference. And at one point in the story, he also gives them the choice of whether to have his continued presence or not. They reach home, and Jesus makes as if to go on. He gives them the choice to let him go, to not hang on to him, to perhaps not listen to him anymore. It's their decision whether or not to invite him in and continue their relationship with him. But what a good job they do. For it's as they eat together that they recognise who he is. And then they dash back to Jerusalem, energised and overjoyed. So how might this inform how we live in these days of coronavirus? One way to look at it from this gospel passage is that Jesus made himself known to them in small, familiar things. For them, it was as he broke the bread. And to quote from Debbie Thomas, this means that God is in the small things that we do too. The text sent to a lonely neighbour, the phone call, the greeting card. Perhaps as you walk the dog, just smile across the street to someone else. The sacred is actually in the conversation you have with your stir-crazy child. It's in the technology you attempt to master to stay in touch with people elsewhere. If the Emmaus story tells us anything, it tells us that the risen Christ is not confined in any way by the seeming smallness of what we do. Wherever and whenever we make room, Jesus comes. Alleluia, Christ is risen. He is risen indeed. Alleluia. Thank you for watching. Stay safe.